Women, have any of you ever dreamed of being one of those girls? Tough, sexy, in control, and just a little bit badass. Guys, have any of you ever seen? Wrong question. For the men out there, is there any bigger fantasy than being James Bond for a day? What we're here to talk about today is alchemy. It's about turning fantasy into reality, about turning lead into gold, about turning your ideas into a tangible business. We call it alchemy. I want to tell you about my personal alchemist journey. First, a brief history. I had sold my last company and was looking for what to do next. I came up with many business ideas. And I sat down with a really good friend of mine, a guy named Gary Hoover, who started Hoover's Online, which you may know, which he sold to Dun & Bradstreet. And I mention that because Hoover's is a business database, and Gary basically has that database in his head. So he's the best person I know to run ideas off of. So we sat down over lunch one day, and I ran through all these different ideas that he had, and he sat patiently listening to all of them. And at the end, he said, wow, you've definitely identified market opportunities there. You've analyzed ways to capitalize on those opportunities. All of those can be a successful business. Now take that list and rip it up and start again. What? I said, I've been working on that list for 6 months. What are you talking about? He said, nothing on that list has anything to do with who you are. He proceeded to tell me a story about a chain of bookstores that he had started. He told me about how building that chain took him through dealing with the headaches of real estate agents and leases and attorneys and venture capital people and HR and all these miserable headaches that he had to deal with every day. And he told me that the only way he got through those days was because he knew at the end of the day he could pull up to one of his bookstores and get out and work as a clerk for half an hour in the bookstore. And his joy was being surrounded by those books and helping someone find the perfect book for them. So he told me, rip up that list and come back when you have something that when you tell me about it, your eyes light up. So I ripped up that list. To this day, people ask me what was on it, and I wish I could tell you, but I ripped it up and promptly forgot about everything that was on it because I knew that he was right. So now what? I looked everywhere trying to figure it out. Alchemy and inspiration happen in the strangest places. So one day, I had just watched the new Casino Royale, the new Bond movie, with a bunch of friends. And at the end of it, I turned to one of my girlfriends and I said something out loud, something that had been on my mind since I was 4 years old, but I had never said out loud to anyone. I said, you know those girls in the movies, the Bond girls, Charlie's Angels, Uma, Angelina? I want to be one of those girls. Cool, confident, in control, strong, sexy, and dangerous. She laughed, and then she said, I want to do that too. I said, well, where's the school for that? I don't know. I've been looking through the yellow pages. I can't find it. But what she said really got me thinking, and I started asking other women. And when everyone from my 10-year-old niece to one of my friend's 80-year-old mother said, yeah, I want to be like that too. I want to go to that school. I thought, okay, I have to build it. So I wanted to build a spy school. Great. I don't know any spies. So how do I go about this? So I tried to analyze it and break it down into pieces, skills that we'd need to learn. I cobbled together something to test the idea. I found one instructor who had some military training and could teach hand-to-hand combat techniques. I looked through the yellow pages and found a firearm instructor. Now these girls have some moves too, so I found somebody who knew a dancer in Las Vegas and I got her to teach, and she knew a poker player who could teach. So through this method, I cobbled together my first group of instructors. Now I just had to find the students. I had 3 people at my first program in Las Vegas. 2 longtime friends, and one unsuspecting friend of a friend who happened to walk by me, credit card in hand. So I brought these women out to Las Vegas, out to the desert, and they learned how to shoot guns, to crawl through tunnels, they learned how to set up sniper stands, they learned hand-to-hand combat, they learned how to play baccarat, and how to mix the perfect martini. And something amazing happened. As these women were stepping out of their comfort zones and extending themselves physically and mentally, they were describing to me a sense of empowerment. They were describing feelings of transformation. I realized that this was more than just fantasy and adventure, that this was about changing people's lives. I finally got what Gary was talking about. I had to let my eyes up. I put these activities together thinking that each one was fun and it would add up to a cool program. But I found that it was a bit like the chemistry set that you had when you were a kid, that you mixed together a couple of perfectly stable chemicals and all of a sudden you got an explosive reaction. I was blown away as I watched the same effect occur every time we ran a program. I watched the same effect occur every time we ran a program, even during our one-day programs and even during our men's events. I wanted to understand what was making that explosion happen. One day when I was listening to 3 of our instructors, one former recon Marine, one undercover law enforcement officer from the Joint Terrorism Task Force, and one international burlesque star, talking together and discussing the classes that they taught for us and what they had in common, it hit me. These experts all had the same approach, approaches that were useful in different and unpredictable circumstances. The same approach that kept the Marine alive in battle, that kept the poker player in the game, was exactly the same thing that made that burlesque dancer an international star, captivating audiences on stage. That's what people were taking away. That's what was transforming the way that they approached life and business, to feel more confident and powerful, to be more effective and successful, and to have fun. I worked with all of my instructors to help me distill it down. We've come up with the following 6 principles that I'd like to share with you. Observation, analysis, intention, focus, commitment to action, and follow through. And as you can see, they're circular. We'll go